What is up, everybody? With WrestleMania less than 2 months away, this should feel like the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan. This should be feeling like the Super Bowl's right around the corner, like the World Cup is just a few weeks away. It should feel like WrestleMania season. And if we're being quite honest, we all know that it just doesn't feel that way right now. Ticket sales for WrestleMania are low, and fan interest, honestly, it just isn't where it needs to be. Take it from someone who watches WWE programming week after week, things just aren't as exciting as they should be right now. And while they blame it on injuries or a number of other things, I personally think that the biggest problem with WWE right now in terms of wrestling is there just aren't enough stories being built around the champions right now. So in this video, we're going to take a look at every single WWE champion on the main roster, and we're going to see what storylines they're currently working on, and we're going to try to figure out what just isn't clicking with these champions and these storylines. So let's get into it. Before we do, though, if you like wrestling, and I'm sure you do because you're already here, I post a lot of wrestling content on this channel, and I would love for you to be a part of this with me. I would love for you to come, subscribe. I'm sure that there's something you'll like here. Now let's get into it. Let's start it off with the women's tag team champions. We have Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Currently, they've been defending their titles both on SmackDown and Raw. I think most recently their title defense was against Lash Legend and Nia Jax. That match ended in a weird double DQ, double count out type of thing. My biggest problem with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky holding any championship that isn't the biggest women's championship on the brand, whether it be the Women's World Championship or the WWE Women's Championship, is that we know that eventually they're going to go for that title, right? The fact that they are currently tag team champions does not guarantee that they will be tag team champions for very long because they are always title contenders for the big one. Especially when you consider that Rhea Ripley is already in the Elimination Chamber. She won her qualifying match. She's already secured her spot there. Io Sky has a qualifying match next week on Monday Night Raw, and she'll probably win that as well. So both of these women will be in the chamber. It's almost a guarantee that one of these two women will win that chamber and go after the big one, right? It's almost a guarantee that Rhea Ripley won't be in the tag team scene for very long. And that's honestly the biggest problem there. There isn't a problem with the amount of teams in the women's tag team scene. I feel like WWE has done by far the best booking. The best booking that WWE has done by far has been in the women's tag team scene, and we have many teams that could go after this title and win it very realistically, right? We have Bayley and Lyra, which that's a problem in its own. That's something that we can. No. That's a problem in its own. That's something that we will probably get into in a future video, right? You have Lash Legend and Nia Jax. You have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, which again, similar problem to Rio and Ia, right? You can't keep them away from the singles title scene for very long. You have the Judgment Day. You have now Brie and Nikki Bella going after these titles, right? So the teams are there. That the scene as a whole is very healthy. It is very well booked. There are a lot of options, but the biggest problem is that the people that are holding those titles now, it's like when Stone Cold Steve Austin used to hold the tag team titles back in the days, right? We all knew that he was going to lose them quickly and go after the WWE title at some point. That's pretty much what's happening here. You have two main eventers holding those tag team titles, and it's just a matter of time until they lose those and they each go for whether they break up in an amicable way or they break up and then they feud against each other. We all know that eventually these two will end up in a singles run again. And that's the biggest problem with these champions. The Usos as I think they're WWE World Tag Team Champions, the ones on SmackDown or on Monday Night Raw. I don't know what the hell's going on with these champions. They defended them. They defended their championships against Alpha Academy a few weeks back. They won. They're still the tag team champions. This week on Raw, they were in a 3-on-3 match when they partnered with LA Knight against the Vision. So nothing going on there. There's still this tease of maybe Jey Uso becoming a singles competitor again, going for singles gold again. Eventually, Jimmy Uso, within the next couple months, honestly, is probably going to go out on leave once his baby's born. So, and what happens to the titles there? It's just there isn't anyone for them to feud with. And again, same as with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, when is Jay gonna go off and go back to his main quest, get out of this side quest that are the tag team championships, and go after some sort of singles gold again? Because main event Jey Uso, right? So that's the biggest problem there. But also, again, who are they competing against? The War Raiders just got squashed by Obafemi. They're currently in AAA feuding for those tag team titles. You have Alpha Academy just lost. The New Day is nowhere to be seen. The Judgment Day, are they even a tag team anymore? Finn Balor's going for, World Championship gold. JD McDonough just got back. Dominic Mysterio is the IC champion. So that's not really a tag team anymore. Who else are they going to compete with? Who are they going to lose these titles with? It's just, there just isn't much going on there as far as I'm concerned. The MFTs on SmackDown is different, right? So those are the WWE World Tag Team Champions. I think they are. No, WWE Tag Team Champions. These names are super confusing. I get why we moved away from SmackDown Tag Team Champions and Raw Tag Team Champions, but honestly, that was easier to keep track of. But whatever the tag team titles are that are on SmackDown that the MFTs are holding, SmackDown has a different problem altogether than Monday Night Raw because the teams are there, right? There was a time where the tag team scene on SmackDown was the only good part about SmackDown, right? You have the Motor City Machine Guns, you have the Street Profits, you have Fraxium, you have the Wyatt Six, you have, I'm sure I'm missing a couple, right? But the tag teams are there. Rey Fenix is a tag team guy, so throw him with somebody and have that be a tag team. The tag teams are there. The problem is that we are stuck in this endless loop between the MFTs and the Wyatt Six. And the story has been fun, but now that the championships have changed hands, I think we need to focus on the singles feud between Uncle Howdy or Bo Dallas and Solo Sikoa, and the MFTs, not including Solo, so it should probably be what, JC Mateo and Talatanga, or Talatanga and Tamatanga, or whatever combination. Right, let's do the Freebird rule. Is that what it's called, the Freebird? Let's do the Freebird rule and have them defend the title however the hell they want. Solo Sikoa go finish his feud with Uncle Howdy, and in the meantime, the MFTs can go and actually defend these championships against anyone else, literally against any other tag team. That's the problem, is we've seen the same match over and over again. They've been feuding, what, 6 months now, it feels like? I'm not even sure. But they've only defended the titles against each other, right? The Wyatt Six have only defended the titles against the MFTs in that amount of time. And yeah, I think we're all just losing interest. It's getting boring. I personally like the Solo Sikoa Uncle Howdy thing with the lantern, but I think that should be a separate feud altogether now that tag team gold isn't at stake with the Wyatt Six. Julia is the current women's US champion on SmackDown. That division just has no competitors. That is honestly the case there. We saw a back and forth between Julia and Chelsea Green where they ping-ponged the title with each other a few times. But even that isn't a thing anymore because Chelsea Green is injured. We have Michin, who was also a competitor for that in that division, in that mid-card title scene. She's out injured. B-Fab, same thing. I guess if we wanted to push her, we could. She's gone. We have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, who could potentially go for that title. They're off doing a tag team side quest. There just aren't any baby faces to challenge Julia as the heel for her title. And that's really hurt both Julia and the title. Because while she's champion and not defending her championship, she's also not on TV. So it's just not booking her correctly. It just means that we're not seeing her on TV. It just means that the title doesn't feel important to WWE. So why should we care? And that's that's a big problem with SmackDown in general, because as we move on, and we will just for the sake of this part here, to Jade Cargill, it's a similar problem. There just aren't any baby faces to challenge Jade for her championship. We saw her have that match with Jordynne Grace. I think a little prematurely. I think that we could have held off for that match for a later time, especially because of how it ended. It wasn't like a complete squash, but Jade won decisively. Jade won, like, there wasn't a question, there wasn't any heel tactics involved. Like, Jade just won that feud and won it well. Like, the reason that Jade hasn't been able to defend her title in so long, I think this might have been her first title defense, is because the division is just lacking bodies. We just don't have any baby faces to challenge her for this title. Yes, Tiffany Stratton is back. They haven't crossed paths since Tiffany came back at the Rumble. Tiffany Stratton is currently in the Elimination Chamber. Who knows if she'll win? My money personally right now is on Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill would be absolutely amazing. But until we know that to be the match that we're getting at WrestleMania, it all just feels like, what's the point with the SmackDown main event women's scene and this title in general? It just feels like, what are we doing here? Why should we care? And we honestly don't. Until you give us a proper feud, until you give us a proper story, no one's going to care. Carmelo Hayes is the men's US champion. I'm of two minds here, because yes, the open challenge has been super fun. It has given a lot of really fun opportunities for people that we wouldn't normally see compete at this level on SmackDown, right? It gave us Javon Evans before he became an official Raw superstar. It gave us some TNA guys. Sorry, I don't know people's names in TNA. I'm sorry, but it gave us a couple of TNA guys that came up to challenge as well. That was fun. It's given us just some really fun matches between Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. So that's all been fun, but there hasn't really been a developed story for Carmelo Hayes, which honestly, a champion just does better when, a wrestler in general just does better when there's a storyline behind what he's doing. And we did recently see some sort of storyline developing with Carmelo Hayes. His whole thing with The Miz, I don't know if it's over, but that was a fun little side quest story that Carmelo Hayes went and dealt with. If that's over, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I said, he's been going back and forth with Ilya Dragunov. They haven't properly had that rematch that they've been talking about for weeks. So maybe that's the culmination of Carmelo Hayes' championship, is a rematch against Ilya Dragunov. Maybe another like best of 7 type thing. That'd be honestly a lot of fun. But again, that isn't developing maybe quickly enough for me. This most recent week, we saw that they were about to bout it out. Instead, what happened was Shinsuke Nakamura and Apollo Crews and Matt Cardona came out to help Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes against the MFTs, and they had a 5-on-5 match, which was fun, but it did nothing for the champion here. And yeah, I think that we just need to work for a story for Carmelo Hayes. He is a great worker. He is very charismatic. And the best way to show off a wrestler's charisma is in storyline. And Carmelo Hayes just isn't getting it. On Monday Night Raw, the women's mid-card scene, on the other hand, is probably the best booked thing that Monday Night Raw has going for them right now. Becky Lynch and AJ Lee has been a story that's gone on for several weeks, but with a lot of gaps in between, and those gaps have been really properly filled, right? While AJ Lee has been gone, Becky Lynch lost her title to Maxine Dupree. She then won it back. She then gave Maxine Dupree a rematch. Maxine Dupree brought out her friend Natty. Then Natty screwed Maxine Dupree over. So now that's the storyline that we're working with. And now that AJ Lee is back, we have the story between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. They're having a match at the Elimination Chamber. I doubt that this will be their last match. And that is something that is that is the main focus of the IC championship on Monday Night Raw, right? Of the women's IC championship. It is that Becky Lynch and AJ Lee story that is probably going to take us all the way to WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure Becky Lynch will win and retain at the Elimination Chamber. They'll then have a second match. I don't know who wins that. I don't care who wins that. I don't know when it is. If Becky Lynch wins it again, it can be the whole AJ Lee thing being like one more match and we can call it either I win or I never challenge for this title again, right? We can do that and have a feel good moment when AJ Lee eventually wins. If AJ Lee wins it as a set on whatever their first rematch after Becky Lynch is definitely winning at the Chamber, right? We can have their grudge match be at WrestleMania for best out of three kind of thing. And that would be absolutely perfect. The reason that I think, by the way, that Becky Lynch is going to win this match at the Elimination Chamber, and spoilers for a future video where I predict the winners of every match on that card. But the reason that I think Becky Lynch is going to win that match is because AJ Lee hasn't had a singles match in over a decade. That is something that she's mentioned several times on Monday Night Raw. So it's going to be there is no shame in losing after being out of the ring for 10 years. And Becky Lynch, being one of the best to do it, being someone who's been there day in and day out, sure, she took a break, pretty much a year-long break about a year ago, but she has been there this whole time. The women's division just is at a different level than AJ Lee wrestled at, and she's mentioned that as well. So it is perfectly justified for AJ Lee to lose that first match, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye either way. I don't think that anyone can be like, well, AJ Lee squashed. I mean, there's still going to be those people in the comments that are like, oh, they squashed AJ Lee because she lost to Becky Lynch. But I do think that that's the right way to tell the story. Like I said, you can play the second match either way, but this is going to be a feud that's going to get us all the way to WrestleMania, and a great feud at that. It has been a very interesting story that they've been telling. Dominic Mysterio as the IC champion on Monday Night Raw. There's only one problem with Dominic Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship reign and the current storyline with the IC Championship, and that is that Dom hasn't defended it since winning it back from John Cena in November. They had a match at War Games, and John Cena lost that title to Dom, and there hasn't been another title defense since then. Right? Penta just became the number one contender for the IC title, so all right, I see hints of a story. I see little tidbits of something that might interest people. It interests me. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta for the IC Championship? Hell yeah. Give me that match. They didn't say when that match would happen. It probably won't be a WrestleMania match. I do think that Dom will win that match. And I don't know, maybe we get a multi-person match for the IC Championship at WrestleMania. But again, there just isn't a story here to get us excited. So yeah, this IC title run has just been boring and almost non-existent for Dominic Mysterio. And that's the biggest problem with this title scene. All right, now we're getting into the big ones. We're getting into the WWE Championship, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Women's Championship, and the WWE Women's World Championship. So we already talked about Jade as the Women's World Champion. So let's talk about Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer is Jade is the WWE Women's Champion. See, I'm telling you, it's confusing. So let's talk about Stephanie Vaquer, who is the WWE Women's World Champion. This story between her and Becky Lynch between her and Liv Morgan this week hit an all-time high. I am absolutely excited for this story. I don't think that anyone ever actually believed that Liv Morgan was going to go after Jade Cargill for her title after winning the Royal Rumble. I think we all pretty much knew that it was going to be Liv versus Stephanie Vaquer. It's just a matter of how do we get there. And this whole promo thing, this interview thing that Liv was doing that got interrupted by Stephanie Vaquer this week, that whole story that they've been telling, especially with Dominic Mysterio as Liv Morgan's kind of translator in this whole thing, has been, I almost cursed. It has been effing phenomenal, right? this scene for a while was seeming to take a different course than I thought they were going to go. I did think that Raquel Rodriguez should have beaten Stephanie Vaquer for this title. And I think that that match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez would have been so much fun. It would have been such a great story to tell, especially on the WrestleMania stage. But I think that WWE has something here with Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan now that they're cutting promos on each other, now that they're just coming face to face and talking smack, and Stephanie Vaquer basically calling Liv Morgan like the golden child with the golden spoon or silver spoon, whatever the hell you say, right? I think that that story that Stephanie Vaquer is telling has been absolutely great for this story. Liv Morgan is absolutely going to pick Stephanie Vaquer for her WrestleMania match. And I want to see this go both ways. I want to see Liv Morgan shoot some fire to Stephanie Vaquer, and I want to see some drama play out between these two. But so far, yeah, it took them a while, but yeah, this story is really ramping up. So I have no notes for the women's world championship scene on Monday Night Raw. On the men's side, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion is CM Punk. We know that his WrestleMania match will be against Roman Reigns. So, yeah, let's get excited for that match. Except the biggest problem there is that Roman Reigns is a part-time worker for the WWE. How do you build a proper storyline for one of WWE's biggest titles when the challenger only shows up to work once a month? Right? We have this side quest with CM Punk and Finn Balor, and while those matches are going to be a lot of fun, it's boring because no one believes Finn Balor's winning that. Especially now that Roman Reigns has chosen. What, do we want to see Roman Reigns against Finn Balor at WrestleMania? No one wants to see that. We saw that already, and we had that whole thing with the demon falling off the turnbuckle because Roman Reigns' big dog energy knocked it over. No one wants to see that match again. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns is the right call. I will give you that. It is the right call if Roman Reigns were a full-timer in the WWE. That's the biggest problem here, is that Roman Reigns just doesn't show up to work. So this story is just being built with one guy there. And we're just waiting. And yeah, every time that Roman Reigns shows up, it's exciting. And every time that Roman Reigns shows up, he cuts a fire promo and they go back and forth probably. I mean, they did that one time, but I'm sure they will go back and forth and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And when they're there, it's going to be, fire coming out of both of their mouths and they're going to just cook each other and it's going to be awesome. And oh my God, I can't believe Roman Reigns told CM Punk that. And I can't believe CM Punk said that to Roman Reigns. And then we're not going to see them for another couple weeks. We're not going to see Roman Reigns for another couple weeks. And CM Punk will probably have a backstage interview about Roman Reigns. He'll probably have a sit down with Michael Cole. He'll probably come out to the ring and cut a promo in the ring about the tribal chief and his cousin Dwayne or whatever the hell. And then we're going to have to wait for Roman Reigns to come back and answer whatever CM Punk said about him. And that's what makes that whole thing just boring. That makes it so boring for me. It just doesn't have the build that a WrestleMania main event typically has. And I think it's one of the bigger problems that WWE needs to fix as soon as possible. You want to sell more tickets? Build that feud up quicker. Build it faster, build it harder, have them both come to work and have them just get on the mic against each other and just watch the money signs roll in, WWE. And finally, on Friday Night SmackDown, we have Drew McIntyre as a WWE Undisputed Champion. Currently feuding with Cody Rhodes for sure, maybe Jacob Fatu. Honestly, what makes all of this boring and what makes a lot of us wrestling fans just kind of shut it off is Cody Rhodes, right? We're still pretending that Cody Rhodes is the super uber over babyface and he can do no wrong. And we haven't really seen any character development from him in a year, maybe, right? He's in the Elimination Chamber now. I think we're all expecting him to win the Elimination Chamber, especially because in a qualifying match, he beat Jacob Fatu and Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre's two only other competitors. So, who's Drew McIntyre going to face? Who's in there right now? LA Knight? Damian Priest? Is he in there? I think so. It's Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre and ah, it's Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Cody Rhodes in there. And you're telling me what? Cody Rhodes isn't the favorite to win that match? Cody Rhodes isn't the favorite to challenge Drew McIntyre for that title at WrestleMania? Look, if you guys have seen at least a handful of videos on this channel, you will know that I've been asking for a triple threat match at WrestleMania between Drew, Jacob Fatu, and Cody Rhodes. But honestly, you can do without Cody Rhodes, and that match would still be absolutely amazing, right? Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. Who doesn't want to see that, right? I do think that Cody Rhodes is the most boring part of this whole thing. Fine, if WWE wants to include him in this match, if WWE wants to include him in this feud, sure, let's throw him in there. But it can't just be another one-on-one match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. And yeah, that's kind of boring. And listen, as maybe your average wrestling fan, I don't care about that. And I don't believe that any of you out there care about it either. So let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. But yeah, Cody Rhodes is really just muddying up this whole main title scene on SmackDown, and his presence just turns a lot of people off because oh look, it's Cody Rhodes again, right? It's basically John Cena and the ruthless aggression, right? Like yeah, Cody Rhodes is in the match. He's probably going to win the title again. And I don't think any one of us wants that. So that's a big problem that WWE needs to address. So there you have it. I just kind of wanted to see what the big problem was when WWE is obviously panicking. You see stories. If you watch any wrestling channel out there, you will know that Triple H and TKO and WWE is panicking about WrestleMania ticket sales and about just ticket sales in general because fans just aren't interested. When you look at what's going on in some of these title pictures, it's obvious why. It's obvious why. There are and I'm counting, I'm looking down at my paper and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 titles. I'm going to say Stephanie Vaquer, Becky Lynch, and yep, that's it. Those two titles are the only two that are super exciting right now. I'll give you maybe CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Yeah, that match is exciting, but where's the build? Where's the build for that? We're currently getting build for Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan, and we're definitely going to get that at WrestleMania. That's great. Fine, let's build that. Absolutely. We're definitely getting build for Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee, and it's quite possible that that's not the match that they go with at WrestleMania, but look at that great storyline. If it's something to hold us over between now and WrestleMania, I don't think anyone has a problem with that either, right? But yeah, WWE just isn't investing the energy that they are on those two stories on anything else that is currently going on. And it shows, and that's why the product is currently hurting. But anyway, since you made it this far, make sure to drop a like. Let me know in the comments what you think. Am I wrong with all of this? Is there any title scene here that is exciting you more than it's exciting me? And listen, let me know I'm wrong. I can be swayed. I can look at things a little bit differently. So if something here, something that I talked about today is actually super exciting for you and I'm just not seeing it that way, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to read it. I'll be happy to let you know my thoughts. And listen, I'll be happy to look at things a different way. I've never had an issue doing that. Anyway, though, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, make sure to drop a like. Make sure, look, if you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You watched this whole video. Maybe you enjoyed it, maybe you didn't, but you watched the whole thing. Hit subscribe. Anyway, though, as always, until next time, have a nice day.